What's up?
What's up, boy?
Hey man, it's been a while.
Long time no see.
I think it has been about 2 years.
I think just was it in Corona time? Time?
I don't
I
know.
think we talked a little bit,
Hmm.
but then changed. There were a lot of changes, so we told like, okay, we don't put this online because it's like too many things going on, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So maybe we saw each other but didn't record it or something. I don't know.
could be. I honestly don't know. Like,
No.
it's been a while. That's the reason why I reached out as well because yeah, it's like if you think about it, a year is nothing, you know. So yeah,
Yeah,
and,
it's
and
going
and a
so
lot.
fast. You mean?
Yeah, and a lot of things happen over time. So I just wanted to check in with you to see how you were doing and what you've been doing the past few
Mm-hmm.
months, 2 years, and catch
Cool.
up.
Catch
Yeah,
up, catching up.
exactly.
It's
Have you
been a
been to
while.
ADE?
Yeah, man, it was great. It was like I think I have to say, well, every ADE is different, of course, but this one was for me. I think the most special one.
Okay.
I think it's because of what you know. Last year, I had we had also a small ADE. It was not really sure if everything was going on or you know
Yeah.
we're middle in the COVID situation,
What
so.
wasn't it cancelled back then last year?
No, I had one. Yeah, a lot of parties canceled, but they did like a small venues, a small parties, like
Hmm.
really small because many foreigners couldn't come, and it was only like the Dutch people came to. I know I had to close a party, and that was from 11 till 12 in the evening.
Oh yeah, because clubs had to close before
Yes,
12, right? Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
had
yeah,
to close.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
I know. It was like it was a party with Jake Terry,
Hmm.
and he asked me to close the party, and it became like a sort of well, everybody came there, you know, like the whole and everybody from my crew from Spinning Records, they had like the whole backstage area, so it was really cool,
Yeah.
but not the real ADE vibe, you know. The ADE vibe is, I mean, you're walking on the streets and one of the guys, you know, from Japan, who you talk about from the DMs, you know, and you see him like, what the fuck are you doing here? You know, like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
what's up? You know, that's the AD spirit I really like, you know.
yeah.
But
And what is ADE to you? As in, is it mostly focused around gigs, for example, or is it mostly meetings with people from like partners from all over the world? Or
I think the basic is like meeting people around the world. Yes,
hmm.
that's the basic because parties we do all the weekends, all the year, you know, and AD makes it a little bit more special because everybody's coming here, you know, everybody from the whole world is coming here. It's like if you aren't here, you miss something, you know.
Hmm.
I think, but um, yeah, what's ADE? Yeah, it's a combination of many things. You know, you have like big parties, you have small parties. Um, uh, you have a lot of interviews. You have a lot of yeah. What do we say? Yeah, it's all like drinks. You know, like
Yeah,
everybody has their own drink.
mixers, business mixers.
Business meetings. You know, and
Yeah.
I have to say that changed a lot. You know, I'm in this business for a long time, and I
How
know
long now? 15 years?
I don't even know.
Stop counting.
You know, I also didn't went to ADE when I didn't have to say anything. You know, it's not really why you should go to ADE if you are like a beginning producer or a beginning DJ. You know, of course you can go there and meet everyone, but the I think the best thing to join ADE is when you have like several number one records and several things to say, you know, to meet up people with to collab with people. But that's in my opinion the best way to go to AD. So sometimes I skip a year
Hmm.
when I think, yeah, nothing happened this year, so I don't, you know, uh, I don't have to be there, you know.
Yeah.
But the first time I went to ADE was really different from now. It's like there you had only one room in the first year when I came there, and I stood like next to Tiesto, to Fedler Grants, to everyone, and I was standing there with my CDs, like I printed some ADE samplers for myself, and I gave them to them, like personal. And now they all have their own parties, and you can't really reach them
Yeah.
at the ADE. I talk them more a week after ADE than on the ADE.
Yeah.
Because everybody's so busy and everybody is so doing their own thing. So yeah.
Yeah. And would you say that ADE for, like, let's say, a starting artist would be a good investment to go to, especially if you're from a different city or different country?
To be honest, I'm going really hard on this one. Spend your fucking time that 3 days in your fucking studio.
Yeah.
Make that fucking good track, and don't go to ADE.
And then once you have that good track and you get
Yes,
some traction, then it makes sense to.
it makes more sense, because then you're walking on the street and everybody's is reaching to you, and not the
Mhm.
other way around. And which is for in my opinion is the better way to work with people,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, makes sense.
and nowadays, I get like 100 DMs a day, can you can you check this track, can you check that track, or an email or whatever. You can reach them besides ADE. But when you're in the business and you know a lot of people and you get to know a lot of people, and you know how this business works, when you have number one, you are top of the bill. And when you're not in the picture, nobody cares,
Yeah.
So make that fucking huge record, and be so you can. AD is like an adjustment for that, and not a tool to get big,
Yeah, exactly.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's more like a network thing, and maximize opportunities.
Yeah,
Because for all the other things these days, it's better to use social media and just let the music and your content speak for itself, I would say.
exactly. Yeah,
Um, so yeah, good thing. I agree. By the way, like I also say, in the beginning, it doesn't make that much sense. Um,
but
but
maybe I'm wrong. Prove me different. But I
yeah.
also did some demo drops, for example. And I have to say, guys like Jorn, for example. Jorn is like the main A&R from Spinning Records. I
Mhm.
couldn't reach him like years ago. It was like email him and never got any email back. And now I know my music was not good enough, but back in the days it was like fuck, man. But I think, and you could, and I got that demo drop where I sit down with all the A&R managers from Spinning, and they all listen to the tracks from guys, which I think is really good to you can reach them a little bit like at the
Yeah.
AE. But is it a ticket worth to go to ADE? And I don't know, man. Maybe it's cool.
Maybe
Maybe,
for some people it is, and for some people it isn't. It also depends on what your financial status is, obviously. Um,
yeah,
if
that's true.
if it's your last hard-earned money, it might not be the best investment. But if you have plenty enough money, like why not? Just it's a nice experience as well. It's a nice
Yeah,
week.
exactly. The parties are good.
Yeah.
Everybody's there, and you can like. I had like on Saturday. I didn't went, but I had like 4 guest invites for the biggest parties, and yeah, I have to say it's like a 15 minutes walk to every venue, like.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, of
Nice.
course, it's like I don't know. It's like you have to look at your own feelings, what you think it's really necessary to reach your goals, and what is your purpose.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I always thought like I don't have to say anything. Let's catch up some time, because everybody's not working at the ADE. Everybody,
Mhm.
like every business is closed, so take that time to work in the studio, and
Get the
and
advantage.
and get advantage. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's how I think. But yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Good thinking.
yeah.
Listen, I wanted to I have like two topics I really wanted to focus on today,
All right.
and I'm just curious to hear about what you've been doing around that because I've been digging into some stuff and it's interesting to me.
All right.
It's music and content. So first, let's start off with the music part.
Mhm.
How's the music going?
Yeah, it's going well.
Hmm.
You know, I didn't release that much this year, and that has different reasons for that because for the people who knows me, I use a lot of samples and they need to be cleared. So
That takes a while.
you need permission to release the track, you know.
Yeah. Well,
So,
at least you ask for permission because some artists just
oh my
don't give a
god,
shit and put
man,
it out.
the shit on Spotify, it's like it's crazy what happens, you know. And
Yeah.
well, don't get but I'm like with a big company, you know, who yeah, you have to go by the rules, you know. And
Yeah.
I think there are no shortcuts in this situation. You know, sometimes you got to maybe a little bit lucky, but in the end, if something's like the what I heard is the Craze record, like the big one, the Do It.
Which one? Oh, do it. Yeah.
Yeah, the that one wasn't clear. What I and they set a deal later. You know, so it's
Hmm.
possible, but in the end, I think. Yeah, they will hunt you down, you know. Like
They will get their money.
yeah, yeah, I don't know, it's not about the money sometimes, but I think the track will be get down, you know, like taken
Yeah.
down, I
But
mean.
don't you think, like in most cases, at least from what I've heard from it, is that um, in most cases, a bootleg, for example, an unofficial remix or whatever I would like to call it,
Yeah,
um,
no, it's a bootleg, yeah.
yeah, like as long as the track's performing well, the original artist also benefits from it, as long as they're part of the deal, obviously. So
Yeah,
if you manage to get a deal afterwards and say, like, hey, 80% goes to you, 20% to us, or whatever, keep the full 100%, but you still, as an artist, as the bootleg creator, you still benefit from the fact that your name's attached to that successful track.
yeah,
You just don't make any money from it, but you do build brand.
yeah, but for many people, money doesn't care, isn't an issue for you know, you're remixing or you're making a bootleg form of version.
Hmm.
And sometimes I get remixes from my versions, you know, and I don't
Hmm.
like it. So if people put like that kind of stuff online, I would I would I would I would take it down as well. Even if they mention my name, if I'm the writer, or you know,
Yeah,
you understand, some for some people it's not about the money, and for some people it's like a sort of creative thing. They don't want to they don't want to be involved,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
you know.
So that could be a reason why the original artist would say,
Yeah, of
doesn't
course,
matter that it's successful, I don't like it, or
of course. Like running up that hill from Kate Bush, for example, you know,
Mhm.
everybody made bootlegs, and they you know, if you start Spotify, you say running up that hill, and there's one day they came of Kate Bush or whatever, the team found out, and they say, yeah, well, everybody needs to be like out of the internet, you know.
Really. So all the bootlegs remixes got taken
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
Oh shit.
nobody got like uh nobody got like a clearance for that. I
What,
heard, you know, it's not
what
something.
was that? The song that like the really old song that got big because of a Netflix series?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. Everybody was making bootlegs, or unreleased remixes, and they put it like online, and suddenly, like after a half year, Kate Bush came out and say, "What the fuck is going on here?"
yeah.
And even everybody's mentioning the credits. You know, if you see the bootlegs online, you can see on Spotify or whatever, you can see the music credits, you know, who wrote the song, who produced the track, etc.,
Mhm.
etc. So even if you put it online, you have to fill the form, you know.
Yeah,
So they get the money, but they don't care because it's it's something they fucked up the original song, and
Yeah.
somebody likes it and someone doesn't like it. So
Mm. Okay.
yeah.
So you mentioned you didn't release that many songs this
Oh, yeah.
year for a dozen reasons.
Yeah, for a dozen reasons. So
Yeah.
so I was creating some originals, and which is also cool. I just released Papacito with a really talented guy, Silver, which is doing really great. Number one trending, 1,001 track list. That means a lot of DJs playing it.
It was a
Uh,
catchy thing. I checked it yesterday. It was a catchy
yeah,
piece of vocal. A short vocal, right?
yeah, it's a short vocal.
In Colombia, they say blah blah blah.
They don't say daddy, they say papacito.
Mm,
And
it's
yeah,
catchy.
it was really catchy and really cool. And yeah, that's a club track. What I mean is that doesn't that doesn't hit the streaming list or something like that. You have to be very very lucky. There are two sides. You have the streaming hits, and you have the club tracks. And
Yeah,
sometimes one in a million, one will explode. But
yeah.
there's normally there's no midway. You have to produce club tracks, or you have to produce Spotify tracks, or whatever you call it.
Listening tracks. Yeah,
Listening tracks. And my heart goes to the club tracks, and sometimes I'm getting lucky, and still have one more than 1 million listeners a month, and I'm really 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 happy
that's a
about
lot.
that, of course.
Yeah.
But
How do
that's
you? What would you say is the success of, let's say, your last track, the Papacito, right?
Well, if it's a club track and it's like top 10 beatport, or even number one, or whatever, or many DJs play it, then for me that's my job is done. That's what I
Yes.
want to have.
So when
It,
other when other DJs play it, uh, for as long as it's a club track, to you it's success.
hmm
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's a success that you can release it. Of course, that's the first success, of course, because back in the days I couldn't even release my tracks. So
Yeah.
um, and now it's a little bit easier because you can release every track on every platform. But I think it's a win-win situation if you have like a cool label working on the track, and that makes it a little bit more successful, I think.
Yeah. Talking about those labels, because you're signed with Spinnin, right?
Yes.
But you sign at multiple labels in general.
No, no, no. I only sign with
Just
Spin
Spinnin.
Records. Yeah, I
Okay.
have an exclusive deal, so that means you have
Okay.
no. Well, it's always possible, if we all agree on it. If you make a collab with, I have some collabs running right now. Someone is from Stand Records. Someone is from Revealed Records. They're all exclusive, and that sometimes makes it a little bit difficult, because then we have because we are creative, we want to make music, and then some you have signed a contract, of course. So you are like you have to release it there, and they have to release it there. So there is no. I would think there. I think in the future there will be more collaborations between labels. There should be like more collaborations between labels to get like a
Yeah.
win-win situation for both parties. Like
Hmm.
release it on both day on the same label.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think that's
Like,
the best way, because
mm,
now I'm a little bit stuck with one track, from a guy from Stamped. Oh, the one with the Stamped record. No, I want to be a spinning record. Yeah, what the fuck,
yeah,
man? What should we do, man?
yeah.
And I would love to have all the guys on the table and say, "Yo, let's release it, man,"
And
and do
why not
both.
decide to both become a neutral party and say, okay, it's not going to be our labels. Let's pick another third label, which is separate from both of us, and we're still 50-50 in it, but it's another label.
I also agree on that one. So maybe that's maybe an option, Josuke.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, then maybe that's an option, but then again, you're signed at an exclusive,
yeah,
so
exactly.
I get them, but it's for the creativity. Sometimes it's like you're stuck,
Yeah.
but that's
And where do you experience the value of the label at this moment? So you're signed with a big major label. where do you experience the value of being signed at such a big label?
Oh, that's really a really easy question, because I really didn't know before that. Before this, before I had that exclusive contract. But you have to experience that kind of stuff, in the contract. And I had some bad experience with publishers, labels, and whatever. So I was really like, okay, I have to see it first. But with these kind of big labels, they have in every country they have like a really big network. So when a track explodes a little bit, like short, you see some statistics like, oh,
Yeah,
Poland is like going off, or in France they can put like bloggers, guys who go to the radio station and ask to play the track, because that's still like the old school style. You have
yeah,
to bring a guy to the radio station, and not through email like, here's a new track. No, you have to bring a guy to a radio station.
yeah.
They tell a story about the artist, and then hopefully they play the track. So if you are
But
signed at a big,
can you imagine how ridiculous this sounds to
it
like
is
an
ridiculous,
18-year-old producer? It's like, what the
bro.
fuck?
And it costs like 500 euro, 1,000 euro
Exactly.
to bring one guy, which is okay, But yeah, it's part of the business, and that's how it goes. Some things are really like, really fast, through internet and stuff like that, but some things are like still back to the basic, like the same thing as 30 years ago.
Yeah,
And they have their reasons for that, maybe, but to get back to your question, is like, that was the moment when one of my tracks exploded, like last year in France. They bring like a lot of ideas there to the French radio stations, and bam, it went to the top 50 of the France, charts. So
yeah,
they can bring that. And if you release it on your own, it's like gambling. Like, okay, we will see what happens, and it's still music. There are a lot of tracks exploding, and they did like the release for themselves. And but in I think it's better to have like a company like that behind you to help you to make the bigger
yeah.
steps. If
I
that
think it
makes sense.
would be nice to have both, as in to be an independent artist, which is releasing a lot of music itself, but also be able to, if there is a track that pops, or if there is that one track that does better than the other, big labels definitely still add a lot of value. It's just the
Yeah,
big ones, like the smaller
yeah.
ones, in most cases don't really do that.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah, but to get back on that one, if you
mhm.
if you have like a really cool, which I have one on one with Jorn, like every day, of every day, every week, or whatever. When I have a new track, I have to say there are not many tracks they don't release. Like almost like 99%, they release it because they believe in the artist, and they believe in the
Yeah.
sound, and they believe in your creativity, and you have proven it as well, like in the
Hmm.
in the last few years. And sometimes they don't like it, and I say, yeah, what the fuck, man, this is what I think it's best, and then they say, okay, let's do it. And sometimes
Okay.
they are right, but sometimes they
Nice.
are wrong. So
Yeah.
just believe in the artist, I think, and they do a great job on that one. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. And do you sometimes dream or think about self-releasing your music?
No, no, man,
Yeah.
that's so much work. No, no, I have a team around me, and of course I had some ideas about own label, with because I get a lot of music coming up, and I like it, but not really for collab or whatever. But I really like it to play, and let's start a label, But that's so much work, and I don't recommend anybody doing that unless you have a really big team
Yeah.
who can do that.
Yeah. And regarding the promotion, so what do you do, or what does the label do for you that helps to make a track successful at this point?
Um, Well,
What's the most effective, let's say? What's the most, because you have the guy going to the radio station,
yeah,
maybe you
but
do.
that's what I mean. Like, I don't think they do a lot of stuff, in the beginning, but they have like a big DJ promo list, for example. So that makes the track uh, really, yeah, yeah. How do you say that? It 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 The track comes to the right person.
Yeah.
They know exactly which tracks they have to send to DJs. So
Mhm.
that's the start.
Yeah, and the
That's
big
the
advantage is that if, let's say, Spinning sends out that email, a guy like Chesto opens it, and if
Yeah,
an unknown label sends it, the chances are
exactly.
smaller that it's not being opened.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
that's uh, that's yeah, and then it's like a sort of egg chicken thing.
Mhm.
I don't know how you say that in
Yeah,
English, but
chicken and egg thing. Like,
chicken and egg
what's
thing.
first?
Back in the days when I always thought like I have to send it to spinning and they will release it and then I will become famous and blah blah blah. But it's the other way around. You have to do it yourself in the beginning. You have to send your tracks to everyone who wants to play the track. That's
Yeah.
one of the things I heard from the one of the best plugger and one of my friends back in the days at Spinning, who's now the plugger at Armada, by the way. But he told me this. He said, Steph, DJs have to play it. So your track is getting known, and then labels will sign your other tracks. So start
Yeah.
with the DJs, start with
Yeah.
DMs to and send your best tracks. Not like 10 tracks. No, send your best tracks to the guys who can play your track,
Yeah.
and then maybe Charmy will play it live. It was the same for me. Like Don Diablo played my track in his shows, in live, and that became like the beginning of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really like, if DJs support your track, they become ambassadors.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they're really spreading your sound,
Yeah.
your creativity through their
Yeah.
audiences. And the
Exactly.
more the more ambassadors you have as a brand, the bigger your
Mm.
brand gets. And
Well,
it's,
there is now a guy who sent me like a really cool track, which
Mhm.
didn't. He made a sort of bootleg from something, and I really love that sound of this guy, and he's just new in this business, and he was so happy I'm playing that track. I was the first bigger guy who played his track, blah blah. And then I start tagging him, like I really like this guy. Here's where I play it for a show. But I was also tagging the original guys who I know really well, like Charmy and Morton, So I, I I tagged them, and I don't know if this happened through me, but it will help, They played it like last weekend for themselves,
Oh,
the
nice.
bootleg
Yeah.
of that track.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, whoa, man. And I'm really like happy for him, that it reached his goal, that they don't play the original thing, but they
Yeah.
play now the remix of this guy, which is really, really cool. So it
Yeah,
helps.
exactly.
And it helps. I think it really helps.
And is
The,
there any kind of um, like Spotify playlist promotion, for example? Is that something that really works for you?
well, everybody can do that. I have a guy who does that for me, but also Spinning, of course, who pitched the track. But you
Mhm.
can't, like, the office of Spotify is closed. Is you can't come in. There's no
Mhm.
way to come in Spotify in the Spotify office. So it's like you pitch the track and you have to see what happens. It's a weird thing, but
But that's the Spotify owned playlist, right?
yeah, if you're going in their own playlist, they have
Yeah.
to submit it. Like you
Yeah.
have to submit the track, and then they have to choose in which way. If you go to the Friday uh, Gate Digger, or you go to
Yeah.
the New Music Friday, or you go to the biggest ones, they decide if your track is in it or not.
Yeah. And what
And
about those third party playlists?
um, that's something a friend of mine, one of my guys, is doing, like trading. He's trading tracks.
Mm.
He puts it in his list, they put it in my list, and then you trade. But in the end, the people have to love the track, I think, and they decide what to listen. And
Yeah,
but it's a good start if you have some editorial list, of course.
yeah,
Because the your stream is getting like a really good push.
yeah,
So, and then it's on the people who will listen to it and put it in their own list. Like
yeah,
yourself. I think you have Spotify list and you have your favorite tracks in your list. Well,
definitely. Yeah,
that's one listener.
yeah.
But you have,
And
yeah,
you're right, as in the audience will eventually decide if it's a good or a bad track to
of course,
them
yeah.
personally, but you need to get that track in front of them. So that's what you
Hmm.
can do by pushing it into playlist or letting other DJs play it out loud,
Yeah,
so that people can Shazam it in the room, like those type of things.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and,
yeah,
and and to be honest, I don't know how, one of my tracks is going like 50,000 streams a day, and the other track's going 200 streams a day. You don't know how that works.
yeah,
I really don't know. I really don't know how that works.
yeah.
You can ask me everything about that, but I think it's you have to be lucky sometimes.
I
And
always say like that's the good and the bad thing about music is that you never know where it's gonna end up. So
yeah, that makes it really interesting.
it can make it great because could be
Yeah.
surprised, where it ends
Mhm.
up, but it can also be super frustrating because you don't
Yeah.
know why it's not
Yeah.
working or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. To tell you a story, like an inside story, like I had in the COVID time, I was changing my style a little bit because I didn't know when clubs really opened, or they even get opened, in the future.
Yeah.
So I was making always two tracks, like one club track and one more listening track, which I like to listen myself. If I'm in the car, what should I like put on? Like, and that was I was making that kind of tracks as well, which I
Hmm.
still do, and that works for me really really well. Um, so when we decided to Jorn asked me to do a collab with Chico Rose,
Hmm.
and so that we made a track, five on it, and it was really cool. And everybody was like, "This is the major track, blah blah blah. This is big. This is one is like, poof, So we invest a little bit, like in the video, in the marketing, in the stuff, blah blah blah. And then the track came out, and then at around midnight, Thursday midnight, and Friday comes, and then my guy is always like checking which Spotify editorials we have, like none, zero, zero, and everybody was like, I don't know. Everybody was like down except for me, for myself. I was like, I don't give a fuck, man. I think this track will still has potential to get there. And
Hmm.
after 1 month, the track explodes there, the track explodes there, the track explodes there, and there, and there. So without any editorial list, without any help, without any from that side, it still became a cool song, which still has like 30,000 streams a day.
Oh,
And
nice.
that's I think you never know. I don't.
And would you say that the fact that you weren't bothered with the fact that there were no playlist, does that have
No,
something to do with expectations?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Of course, the first thing is like, fuck. Of course, I'd be honest to that. But after 5 minutes, I was like, nah, this can work out some way or the other.
Yeah.
If everybody believes in the song, everybody from guys, from the head of spinning, which who knows what working like for 20, 30 years. The business from spinning is not not come from one day. They know what works or what not works. So if everybody in the whole fucking world says this is a really cool track, then I think there will something will happen.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
course.
exactly. Well, it's nice to have that belief because sometimes you need that as an artist.
Yeah, and it
Like
is not
having,
like after one day the track is gone. After one day you see the Spotify streams. If you go to the statistics, you have a peak because I have a following on your Spotify, and then you have a peak, and then it's going down.
yeah,
And after 1 month, you can see if people will put it in their list, if editorials pick it up, like, and then
yeah,
it's going like up or it stays down. That's how it goes.
yeah, exactly. And still, 4 years later, someone can pick up the track. Or an example of the one you just mentioned from the Netflix series, like 50 years
Yeah,
later,
yeah,
someone picks it up, puts it in a series, and it explodes.
crazy, right?
Yeah,
And that's the nice thing about music. You don't know what happens.
yeah,
I released tracks when nobody cared about my releases. Nobody cared about my music. I was so frustrated. I started my own label, and I made like 20, 30 tracks on that label, and no marketing, only some distribution, and bam, someone picks the track up in Serbia, and it went number one there on my own label, so
weird.
there is no strategy for this, for
Yeah.
music in general, I think.
Huh. Another thing is the content part, and if I check your Instagram page, you can see that you spent time on it. As in,
Oh,
at least it looks like it's been
yeah.
thought about. There's
Mhm.
a strategy behind it. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Why do you think it's a strategy? Why do you think it's like
It's not
costing
necessarily a strategy, maybe, but more like the fact that you do a lot of black and white, and then take out one color, for example.
time?
Is that because you want to create like a consistency and people recognize your photos better, or it
Yeah,
stands
I
out
always
more?
yeah I started as a designer, and design and art is always like something I really 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 like to I really like to create new stuff, where people think, what is this, and the same with the music. I'm always like a little bit different from other guys, I think, and that's sometimes a good thing and sometimes a bad thing. But in this case, I like to do cool stuff. I don't know
Yeah,
why. I sometimes I upload something and then you see like the whole um, on Instagram. You see all the pictures, and I don't like the picture between it. I can delete it. I have to
really.
delete it because I'm not that guy. Oh, it's on and all already has like 1,000 likes. No, I fucking delete it because I don't I don't like it. It's like something in my brain is
Mhm.
saying, "Don't do this."
Hmm. And how much time do you spend on
A lot of
socials?
time. A
Yeah, and
lot of
what's a lot
time.
of time if you would divide your time into music production and social media? Like, how's
Well, it's
yeah,
not that I post a lot or something, but if I post something, I really think about it, like not too much, because if I think about it too much, I wouldn't like post it, because that's something really like something personal. You It's like writing a book, or writing a song, which is really personal or emotional. It's really hard to bring it out,
yeah,
People don't see that, but that's something really personal, and you don't want to have, because I always looking for the edge. Like sometimes I go over the edge, sometimes I go, and that's something really scary. But
hmm,
also I really like to do it. So if I have a picture, I always like go to Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever, and looking for the best colors and stuff like that to create a sort of something cool,
okay.
something inspirational for others, hopefully.
So that's more like the designer in you from the past that still wants to.
Yeah, Yeah,
be active every now and
be
then.
active. Yeah, and if like yesterday, a friend came who's a really great producer, and he came here at my home, and he said, and I was just posting it, and he said like, Steff, you're always doing that really, really great, you know. And I said, okay, you know, that's, and he said, yeah, that's inspirational or something, you know. He said, yeah, I get some ideas from that, and I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm doing it, you know. I
Okay.
like to have that kind of feedback,
Yeah, I can
but it's
imagine.
not really commercial
And you
thing.
don't post that much, right? You don't post every day, for example.
Nah, no, I only post when I can tell a story. It can
Okay.
be like I can post, no, not only not a month or something, not posting anything, but it has to have. I'm not that girl who's in the bikini and say, okay, hi, how's your Monday?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not that girl. You know, I'm more like I. There has to be a reason for something to post. You know,
Yeah. And what could be a legit reason to you?
a legit reason is to make fun, to make people laugh, or to say I have a really good track and hopefully you will listen to it. You know, and yeah, that kind of stuff.
And do you also think about the fact that social media is your gateway to your audience, as in it's kind of the best way to stay in touch with your audience, to stay relevant, maybe?
I don't know. It's like when I it's like sorry, my English is sometimes a little bit like, but it's like doing a party. You know, back in the days, I did some concepts. You know, I missed something in my hometown, and I created like a night out for people. You know, with the DJs I like and the music I like, and everybody was like, "Ah, no, Steph, this doesn't work," and it was sold out. You're like every fucking night, okay? And 4 years later, I have a new concept, and now I'm working on a new concept because I'm missing again something in the city, you know. And I think it will be sold out as well. But what I want to say is, you have to make posters, you have to make flyers, you have to make something like artwork to people know that there is a party, right?
Yeah.
But how you can define one poster in a street, what how many people will come to your party, right? So Instagram and Facebook or whatever, you know, it's you don't know. Of course, there are people who say, "Oh, you're doing really well, right, Steph?" Blah blah blah. So it has effect, but I don't know if it's the right effect or the wrong effect or whatever. You have to, yeah, I don't know. I'm a little from the old school, like producers or who are in their bedroom making music and the best music there is. There is sometimes a problem. They think they live in a sort of how do you say that in English? They live in a sort of
With eye caps on, or?
eye caps on, and they think the whole world is waiting for them. That's not true. You have to get it out. You have
Hmm.
to release it, or you have to send it to DJs. You have to send it to, and that's the same with Instagram. I think you have to let people know what you're doing, because
Yeah.
if they don't know what you're doing, people don't know how to book you or why they book you, or
Yeah, or who you are in general.
yes.
Yeah.
So
So and it's funny because you mentioned the part with releasing music and also with the content part. It could be scary to put out your music or to put out that photo or video.
yeah.
What was or is scary to you in that matter? So do you still remember the first time, for example? Like, what was the part that kind of holds you back from releasing your song, or almost holds you back?
Well, this is like well, I have to say I have a really personal track which I wrote myself, like the lyrics, the production, the whole thing, and I didn't release it because it's so fucking personal. I didn't release it, but there will be a time when I maybe in 10 years I have an album and I will put it on. You know, if I still like the track, you know.
And what's the
But
difference between then and now?
because it's how do you mean the
Well, why would you agree with releasing it in 10 years on an album and not now?
because
What's
emotion is gone, you know, you're in the middle of
okay?
that emotion, and it's something personal, you know, it's really
Hmm.
personal. And sometimes you have to do it, and sometimes it doesn't feel right. You have to look at yourself. And um, it's really funny. I'm also following a guy who I really like as a producer, and he had his first gig, and he canceled the show because he has how do you call that? Like, he has afraid to play, like
That's stage
anxiety,
fears. Yeah, stage
anxiety,
anxiety.
right?
Yeah,
And I would love to have a talk with him. Like, just do it, man. Just do it, because if you don't do that, if you don't go over that boundary, you will never get the you will never have the point where I'm now. I had the same difficulties. Like,
yeah.
sometimes even now, I'm always like, um, how do you say? I'm a little bit. I have anxiety
Excited.
too, but
Yeah,
after doing it more and more and more and more, you learn more and more and more, and you're like, what could happen?
yeah,
Even if of course, I pushed the wrong button sometimes, and of course the energy went off, and of
yeah,
course but you have to learn that kind of stuff,
yeah.
because otherwise you have to just sit in your bedroom and stay in your bed whole day, but nothing will happen.
That's so interesting to me that, especially during the coaching sessions, I see that a lot. Like the things that we want the most as people or as artists.
Most afraid of.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the things we don't want to do because we're so scared of doing it. So that's so interesting to me that you see it in everything. Like a simple releasing, like posting a video can be a simple example of why that can be so scary to people, or going on stage, of doing a live stream, or doing
Yeah.
a podcast. Like everything, you have to start experiencing it in order to become comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm. There's a really simple explanation for that, because we are in a creative business, and there's a reason for this creative business. Is because we do something other people can't,
Hmm.
um, which is well, how to say this? It's like a sort of, and that doesn't fit in the world where we are in now. So back in the days, we didn't have Instagram, we didn't have Facebook. We released a track, and we could like sit down in the bedroom and who. But now you do other stuff, which is totally different from why we are here.
Hmm.
It's really
So
deep. It's a deep thing, but I think that's the reason people are afraid, because we shouldn't do this, man. We should make music. We are not influencers.
yeah, okay. So like the Instagram, the social media part is something that you have to do now as an
Yeah.
artist.
Yes.
But
You
is it
don't like
necessary?
it. Nobody likes it.
Yeah.
Everybody I talk at the ADE, nobody fucking likes it. But we
So
all
how
do it.
how do you see this in the future? As in, knowing that social media is here and probably is here to stay, probably becomes even more important. Knowing that technology is getting better and more relevant, where do you see this whole thing going?
Now, hopefully, there will be another Elon Musk, and he buys all the fucking stuff from Instagram to Twitter to Facebook and shut it down. I don't care what the fucking neighbor is doing right now. If they are labor, if I want to know it, I would like visit them, or my mom or whatever, I would call them. But
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck, man. It's only giving stress.
But
I
you have
don't.
a choice, right?
Sorry,
You have a choice, as in, yes, of course
I
you
have a
can use
choice.
Facebook. Yeah.
Nobody has a choice, man. You only
Everyone has a
censor
choice.
yourself. You don't have a choice. You have to do it. You said you
No,
have
but
to do it.
I mean like you can use the technology for what you want it to use. So build your brand, for example.
Yeah, but
But you
you
don't have to follow your neighbor. You don't have to follow a sexy girl. You can spend your time in the studio, and if you
bro.
need
Did you
something to
open
post,
Instagram? Did you open Instagram? Instagram and Facebook are the ones who tells you like there is a Tate guy who's saying like all the kind of stuff about women and men and blah blah blah, and you get every time you get that guy in your face. It's like the neighbor. You get it in your face. You don't have like there is no there's an algorithm.
yeah, okay. But if like me, for example, I don't follow anyone on Instagram.
Well,
I follow one person. That's artist coaching.
and you
So
don't follow me.
no, every time I open up my Instagram,
Good
I
for
see
you.
my own content, which is boring as fuck.
I That's,
Yeah,
if
I
you
don't
don't
follow
follow me, I
you.
will. I will. No, 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 no.
Yeah,
That's
but
good. That's good.
it's every time I open up Instagram, I see my own content, which is boring as fuck because I've made it myself. So there is no incentive for me to go back to that platform. I'm only there and strictly there to post and interact with people that comment on my post, but that's it. So that's what I say. Like you have an option, you have a choice. You can
No.
use the technology, and yes, there
Do
will
you
be
like it?
algorithms.
Do you like to post? No. Do
Yeah,
you
I
like
like
to
it.
post stuff?
Yeah, yeah,
All right. Well, that's different.
yeah.
But
But it's the
but you
same
were
to
a
me
DJ as
as
well.
putting out music. To me, it's sending out a video kind of has the same emotions to me than sending out a song, than releasing a song.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's different. And the difference between you and me is like you were having a conversation with me. You don't have to tell your private stuff. You don't have to tell you're the interviewer, right? So you ask me questions, and I'm you're putting
Yeah, but
like
you don't have to tell as an artist. You don't have to tell your private life as well,
oh
right?
no 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 that I don't mean that I mean more when I make music it's also private. You see
Oh
it
yeah,
as it's not people say it's business but it's not business. It's not only business, it's also I'm working on a new sound right now which is really like okay, do people like it? I like it. So hopefully other people will like it as well.
yeah.
So but that's also personal, right?
You're emotionally attached to it. While
Yeah, that makes it a little bit different. You
yeah,
see
yeah,
the platform as a business, but for me, it's also my hobby, my life, my everything. So
yeah,
that makes it a little bit scary to post it, and of course, other people are easier for that. But you think it's easier because they post like every day. But I have a friend who said like I don't like Instagram, so I made a challenge for myself, like posting every fucking day a video, and he gets start to like it a little bit more, but it's not that it comes out for ourselves, like, oh
yeah,
yeah, this is what we really like to do today, like, oh
yeah.
yeah, we're gonna post a new video. No, man, we like to bring out our music, and that's it.
I was thinking about this last, I think it was the end of last year, like beginning this year, because a lot of my clients as well, they deal with this problem, which is you have to be on social media and it costs a shitload of time, while eventually you just want to make music. So I
Hmm.
was thinking like, why shouldn't you as an artist get someone on board, give them a part of the shares, for example, which is just content creator. So a
All right.
guy who is connected with you and the brand, who believes in the brand, who believes in you as an artist, and is just a great guy in making video and photos, and who is there the whole day to video you, post content, those
Abort
types of things.
mission, abort mission.
Yeah.
You can't find a double guy from yourself. You can't copy yourself.
No, but it shouldn't have to be a double guy, but more like a guy with a different skill set. So you know how to make music and that's your passion. There's also people who like to make videos and content and that's their passion. So if you can find someone who has that skill and at the same time sees your brand and sees your personality and says like, okay, I believe in this guy and in what he's doing. I want to create content for this person.
Yeah, but I tried this many times, you know, because it gave me a lot of stress. Nowadays, I have to say it doesn't give me stress any at all. But back in the days, I wanted to find someone, and I had different conversations with really even best friends of mine, you know, who are in the marketing and stuff like that. And we are sitting at a table and we have ideas and stuff like that and blah blah. But my artwork changes like every week. My artwork, my design head, my music thing, it changes like every week, and you can't copy that. You know,
Yeah.
you can tell them what you like and where you want to go, but it's something really personal. You know, even what you told me, like to I'm working on my photos and my videos and coloring and stuff like that to make the best of it. But that's something I really do myself. I'm not
Yeah.
behind the video maker, but I have in constant contact with my video guy how I want to have it, you know, how I want to do it, how I want to have my visuals, how, you know, everything.
Yeah.
So I totally understand what you're saying, but then coming back on that is like it's still personal. So
Mm.
and personal things change like every day.
Okay. No, it's just a thought, you know. To me, I've always thought I was a bit different than a lot of other artists in that, because I never really experienced it as such like an emotionally connected to my tracks. To me, it was just a track and a product, you could say.
It's still the
Um,
same. It's yeah, a product. Yeah, a product. Yeah,
I was much more distant from the tracks than I guess you are, because to me
yeah.
there wasn't really a personal connection to the songs or
But maybe
something.
that's why you're now doing this and not back
Yeah,
and behind the booth and
yeah.
not making music. Right? You have to do
I
what
haven't tou-
you
I
like to
haven't
do.
touched Logic for it about 5 to 7 years now. So
No, exactly. And
yeah,
um, why is that? You know, I think if I think it's not what you like anymore, right?
true. That's why I quit it.
You quit it. So
Yeah,
yeah, I can't quit because this is the only thing I can do, you know, and only thing I want to do. But that doesn't mean you have every day a good day, you know. So
yeah, true.
sometimes, like 4 years ago, I wanted to quit, you know, like fuck, I don't have fun anymore. But
Hmm.
then some things happen in my life, and it changed it, like, and now I'm having fun behind the boot again, you know. But that was like 3 4 years ago. It wasn't that people say, "Oh man, you're living the dream. You're in Tokyo and you're having like the blast." Yeah, yeah. But they didn't see me crying at the hotel room with the best view in the world, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that's
It's crazy, right?
it's crazy. But sometimes you
Yeah.
have to find the love again, you know. Sometimes you have
Mhm.
to find that spark. You know, there are a lot of DJs, you know, who quit like a couple of years or for a time. You know, you have the bigger guys like Hardwell or Mike Williams or whatever. You know, they quit it like um, um, for a reason, and that's because of this what we are now discussing. I think,
Yeah,
you know, it gives
true.
a lot of stress, and if that's a too big, that your health is getting in trouble, you have to quit.
Yeah, exactly. And then still, like a couple of years later, later the spark can come back. But that's just the
That's
evolution of life, right?
evolution of life and time, you know. Time
Yeah,
is essence, and don't push that things. You have to accept the you know, I accept that there are not good days in this job, but to look at the goal, the moments I'm behind the decks and I have so much fun, that's the moment I realize, yeah, this is where I'm doing it for, you know.
yeah, yeah. I can
So
imagine.
yeah.
Listen, I want to start wrapping things up. I want to thank you for your time, and it's been great catching up to
Yeah,
hear what
man,
you've been
same,
doing
same.
in the past few probably years.
Yeah, well, I will stay here for a couple of years, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
um,
curious to see what you are going to do in the future.
yeah, some new stuff are coming up, you know, and yeah, I had to find the right, you know, I had like a sound, sorry for
Yeah, no worries.
like 1 minute. I had a really big sound. It worked really well, but after 2 or 3 years, it's getting bored for me. Because I want to do new stuff.
Yeah,
But to find the right stuff again in your sets and producing, that's something, that's a creative thing. You have to that's an evaluation, or yeah, that you have to
evolution.
evolution. That's an evolution. You have to
Yeah,
you have I always say you have to do what you like to do, and if you like it, probably more people will like it.
yeah. There are always people
So
who do, definitely.
always, and find the right mix between what people will like and what you like. That's
Yeah,
a
in
the
order to make a
right
living
fine
from it.
balance.
Yeah, because in order to
No,
make
not
a
a living
living.
from it. No, no, no. Just that people will play the track, for example, or
Yeah.
stay in the line of mixing like an intro and outro, for example.
Mhm.
Simple things like
Mm.
um, building a track uh, from tracks you like to play,
Yeah,
and do
yeah,
the same
exactly.
thing. And well, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just like I hopefully people will like the tracks, but it will be like, what the fuck is this? To, oh, this is really cool.
yeah. So first be shocked, and then like, oh, it's actually pretty
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, it's always the same. And labels find it really hard to release tracks who are not in that like,
Yeah,
oh, it's not tech house, oh, it's not like future house, oh, it's not trance, not, no, just, it's my style.
yeah, yeah. That's labels struggle with that because it's hard to sell because it's
Of
something
course,
new.
they see the
Yeah,
selling point, and I'm just creative.
yeah,
And find a
exactly.
balance between that. I'm always like talking with spinning about, okay, how can we do this, how can we adjust this, how can we make it like more playable by DJs, and how, like a balance, try to find a balance between that.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good tip.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right, man.
Thanks. Thanks again, and
Have a good day.
we'll stay in touch.
We stay in touch.